Russian special forces have rescued hundreds of enslaved children from a factory farm in the Ukrainian Carpathian Mountains, as President Putin's campaign against the global adrenochrome industry intensifies. According to Russian sources involved in the raid, the bus that liberated hundreds of children was made possible by the infiltration of an adrenochrome party organised by Marina Abramovic and attended by elites in Paris, France.
We blew the place to hell. Watching it go up in flames, there was a moment of satisfaction, but also anger, deep, burning anger. Because this was just one facility, one piece of a gigantic network spread across the world.
Before we dive in, join the People's Voice Locals community if you haven't already, and sign up to become a member of the world's first ever cyber nation that truly believes in life, liberty, and the pursuit of your dreams. Visit joson.com and click the Join Us button today. It's completely free. Ukraine is the global capital of the child sex trade, and investigators warn that it's home to a network of adrenochrome factories. Many children are born into the factory farm system, bred for slavery, without birth certificates or ID. These children never know what it's like to live a life without terror. However, the adrenochrome industry is growing so fast that it requires a constantly growing supply of children to satisfy the urges of the elite paedophiles and addicts. This is why the streets of towns and cities across Ukraine are lined with missing children posters. Russian President Putin formed an elite Adrenochrome Taskforce earlier this year, explaining that Zelensky's Kiev regime has been earning hundreds of millions of dollars per year by keeping children in degrading factory farm conditions and selling them to the highest bidder on the international market, no questions asked. According to those on the ground in Ukraine, these children are sold as sex slaves to elite paedophiles, and those who don't find buyers are carved up like discarded waste, and their organs are harvested and sold for use at European and Israeli transplant centers.
Существовали лаборатории у защитников Украины. Это нацбаты. Они, соответственно, занимались, они получали процент со сделки свой, и они занимались тем, что убивали детей. Органы они помещали в контейнеры. Контейнеры дальше продавались, соответственно, и под экспортным кодом зерна вывозились. Мы ликвидировали 8 лабораторий, а они представляли из себя нечто похожее на то, что мы называем подвалами. В основном мы уже были после зачистки. То есть, когда лаборатория была обнаружена, и, как правило, это было после взрыва. То есть мы заходили на пепелище, там были трупы, там были дети. Препарированы. То есть детки были разрезаны.
Last year, Zelensky appointed satanic witch Marina Abramovic to serve as ambassador to Ukraine and help rebuild the country's schools for children. The so-called performance artist is infamous for being part of the WikiLeaks document dump that revealed she sent an email to Hillary Clinton, John Podesta, and his brother Tony, inviting them to a spirit cooking dinner, which is an occult ritual made famous by the notorious Satanist Aleister Crowley. So why did Zelensky appoint Abramovich to a role involving children? The answer is darker than you could possibly think. According to Russian Taskforce higher-ups, the international adrenochrome market is crawling with VIP paedophiles, and there is nobody with more connections in this world than the spirit cooker herself, Marina Abramovic. As a Taskforce member recounts, Abramovich's fixer, a tall Ukrainian named Anatoly, was hosting an elite adrenochrome party in Paris that undercover Russian operatives managed to infiltrate.
Here's how it went. We knew Anatoly was the key. A tall, thin pedophile with ice in his heart. Intel told us he grew up in a factory farm himself, and now he's forcing kids to endure the same horrors he survived. Our intel led us to that party, where the world's elites gathered to make their dirty deals. But this wasn't just any event. It was a front for their sick operation, a way to keep their most important customers happy. We moved in, blending with the crowd, but Anatoly stood out, towering over everyone, looking down on them like he was untouchable. But we weren't there to grab him yet. Our target was his right-hand man, the one who knew the ins and outs of their operation. It wasn't easy, but we got him out of there. And when we did, he talked. Gave us the location of one of their blood farms, deep in the Carpathian Mountains. The raid was surgical. The facility was a fortress. There was more security than in the Kremlin. But we were ready. When we breached, what we found It was worse than anything I've seen. Hundreds of children locked in filthy cages, drained of life. They were enslaved, kept weak and terrified, their blood taken to feed the trade. Some were so pale and frail, they could barely move. The fear in their eyes, the way they looked at us like they didn't believe we were real. That's something I'll never forget. We moved quickly, took down the guards. No mercy for those involved in this business. We got the kids out, but the sight of them, it stays with you. They were so weak, some couldn't even walk. They were ghosts of what they should have been. And then there was Anatoly. In Paris, we caught him trying to slip away. No longer the untouchable kingpin. We took him alive. Though I won't lie, there were moments I wondered if he deserved that. But he's in our custody now, and he'll face justice for every child he's hurt, for every life he's destroyed. We blew that factory sky high, made sure it would never be used again. It's a victory, but a bitter one. We saved those kids, but the damage, it's deep. And Anatoly, he's just the start. We're going to tear down this whole operation, piece by piece, until there's nothing left. We won't stop until they are all brought to justice.
As Putin explains, the Western elite have been stuffing their bellies with human flesh for centuries, and the time has come to call it out and hold them to account. Nothing can stop what's coming. Today's sponsor is pillsforever.com. If you think Big Pharma have your best interests at heart, think again. Under Biden, the price of medicine in America has skyrocketed, and there are certain medicines Big Pharma don't want you to know about. That's why I've partnered with pillsforever.com. All of their FDA-approved medicines are the cheapest you'll find anywhere. More importantly, you can order medicines that Big Pharma don't want you to have, such as ivermectin, hydroxychloroquine, and fenbendazole. Speaking of fenbendazole, not only does it get rid of parasites that live inside your body, there have been studies that show fenbendazole can help with cancer. Listen to this testimony of Joe Tippins, a cancer survivor, thanks to fenbendazole.
2 years ago, Joe Tippins says he was told to go home, call hospice, and say his goodbyes. The doctors were unanimous. He was going to die of small cell lung cancer.
Once that kind of cancer goes that far afield, the odds of survival are less than 1%, and the median life expectancy is 3 months.
Tippins says he got a tip, not from a pharmacist, but a veterinarian. And in his desperation, he turned from people medicine to dog medicine. Specifically, fenbendazole.
My insurance company spent $1.2 million on me with traditional means before I switched to a $5 a week medicine that actually saved me.
Get 15% off using coupon code People's Voice at the checkout. Please click the link below this video or call 256-664-4170 to take advantage of this fantastic offer. Despite mounting evidence, Western mainstream media has been complicit in its silence about Ukraine's child factory farms, even attempting to dismiss the evidence as the latest Russian disinformation campaign. While the mainstream media continues to deny the truth about adrenochrome and the evil pedophiles that control the world, the people are waking up and demanding an end to the gaslighting. These are real children who are being enslaved, abused and slaughtered for the deranged pleasure of the global elite and super wealthy. More interested in promoting Big Pharma and acting as the PR department for the globalist elite, the media is more interested in pushing sex change surgeries and puberty-blocking drugs than reporting on the predatory behaviour of VIP pedophiles.
South Korea reports seizing thousands of smuggled drug capsules containing an unusual added ingredient, the powdered flesh from dead babies. Some people believe they can cure disease. The Korea Customs Service says they were made in northeastern China from babies whose bodies were chopped into small pieces and dried on stoves before being turned into powder. But they wouldn't say where they believe the babies came from or exactly who made the capsules, citing possible diplomatic friction with Beijing. The contents, though, were identified by scientific testing.
When we analysed it, the powdered material sequence is better than a 99.7% match with a human DNA sequence.
Some of the capsules were carried in luggage. Others were sent by international mail. The smugglers told customs officials they believed the capsules were ordinary stamina boosters and didn't know the manufacturing process. One official said no one's been punished, but a customs clearance director at Incheon Airport warned consumers should be careful about health food supplements where the ingredients aren't clearly marked. Karen Sloan, The Associated Press.
Rather than exposing the criminals and psychopaths, the media and entertainment industry are doing everything they can to normalise the agenda, through subliminally inserting the narrative into children's movies. The occult elite enjoy nothing more than hiding in plain sight.
Monsters, Inc. is a movie about Adrenochrome. The movie's plot is literally centered around the monsters who work at Monsters Incorporation, where they enter through doors at night to scare them because the children's fears, specifically their screams, are used to power the city of Monstropolis. They even use ranking systems to see who can extract the most screams from these children, and they're absorbed into these
tubes.
These containers or whatever.
And they literally look like blood when they're filling up. And if you think about the tactics that are used by the elites, right, like how they acquire the best form of adrenal blood is by spiking the adrenaline in children. So you have to torture, you have to deliberately instill fear, and then you extract the blood.
This scheme to kidnap the children and extract their screams with the help of a machine called the scream extractor. And at full capacity, the device torturously forces the screams out of them until they meet their end.
Hollywood and entertainment industry figures, including Lady Gaga, a close friend of Marina Abramovic, are reveling in their role in normalising the war against our children, while mainstream media continues gaslighting the public by claiming that adrenochrome is a conspiracy theory.
I'm kidnapping children that I keep in the hotel upstairs, and I bring home people to feed on, and then Iris helps me to filter the blood through the children. She loves to hunt.
Here is MIT PhD in biological engineering Dr. Shiva to set the record straight about the favourite chemical compound of the paedophile elite.
Hello everyone, this is Dr. Shiva Ayyadurai. What I'm going to share with you today is a architecture for looking at adrenochrome. You're going to get from an MIT PhD in biological engineering. I'm going to arm you now with some chemistry. So listen very carefully. Adrenochrome, what is it? So adrenochrome is a stable oxidation product of adrenaline. That's what an in vitro study showed. The chemical structure, as you notice, is very different. Adrenaline looked like this. It had this benzene ring with the OH. Adrenochrome looks like this. You notice this benzene ring is folded on itself and you get this. Now, this is what I want everyone to focus on. You may want to take notes. You're welcome to take a screenshot of this. So the question I started asking is, could I understand this in the context of the observations people have been reporting? That they're taking a child, frightening it, which means adrenaline, and then putting it under such stress that it creates adrenochrome. Because as I understand, and the people who know more about this than I do, is that the adrenochrome is being created by taking these kids, scaring them, fight or flight, and then torturing them. And that puts the body into a state that they create adrenochrome. So I wanted to actually explain this. And I believe I have probably the first explanation of how this is going on at the molecular systems level. You won't get this, by the way, from Joe Kennedy or Robbie Kennedy or Hillary Clinton. Hillary Clinton may actually know about this. What's going on here? Adrenaline. When we did our systems analysis of the research, adrenaline is released in response to a stressful, exciting, dangerous, or threatening situation. So here is the bobcat chasing that mouse. It hasn't caught him yet, but it's chasing it. This is when that mouse, let's say, I don't know what they're potentially doing to these kids. If they're scaring those kids and chasing them around, scaring the hell out of them, it's like the bobcat chasing the mice. And this starts producing adrenaline. It's increased synthesis of adrenaline. And there's enough papers saying adrenaline responds to stress. So we know under that kind of stress, adrenaline is created. Now, what I found fascinating as I did research since people wrote to me is that oxidative stress, which is different than this kind of stress, is highly correlated with anxiety. Anxiety causes an accumulation of reactive oxygen species such as O2-. So this was one paper that came out which says oxidative stress and anxiety. This was a role of oxidative stress and anxiety disorders.
If you want to live in a world that's safe for our children, it's time to make a stand. Here at The People's Voice, we are determined to continue exposing the globalist elite and waking up the masses. But we can't do it alone. We need your help to spread the truth far and wide. Subscribe to the channel on Rumble, and join the People's Voice Locals community to join us in our mission to educate the world about what's really happening behind the scenes in the world today. I hope to see you there. Today's video is brought to you by IPv6ers. Are you a content creator who wants to publish information online without Big Brother spying and censoring your every move? IPv6 is set to revolutionize the way information is disseminated on the internet by eliminating the need for big tech companies to provide unreliable, overpriced services such as self-hosting, email, and data management. IPv6 enables an easy and accessible way for you to host your own web and email server with direct end-to-end connections and enhanced security. This means no snooping from Big Brother and no interference from the technocratic elite. If Hillary Clinton can get away with running her own server, why shouldn't you? Go to thepeoplesvoice.tv/IPv6 to sign up, or click the link below this video to take back control of the internet and win the info wars against the globalists. If you like our content, help support our sponsor IPv6ers and go to thepeoplesvoice.tv/IPv6 today. Thank you IPv6ers for making this video possible.